So just to very briefly introduce Wolverton Community Energy. We are a not-for-profit community benefit society, which basically means we reinvest any profits that we get. And there are two key things I want to emphasize today. One is that it really matters that we own solar PV on our community and business commercial buildings across Milton Keynes. We can do this together as part of a community energy scheme, which means the capital investment goes away from individual businesses. There are new grants and loans coming through for social enterprises or charities. And if we work together, that builds the capacity greater and greater to invest in home energy efficiency projects, which we really need to cut our bills and to cut our carbon emissions. So if we're trying to reach net zero, then there's a plethora of opportunities for us to work more efficiently together. And our Home Energy MK program is just one example of that. If you come and visit our stand when you get a moment or two, and we'll tell you more. So I think that's a brief introduction for you. Ben, do you just want us to hand the mics on?
Thank you. Should we better swap, so we don't create a trip hazard. Hi, yes, good morning everybody, and my name is Michael Shepherd. I've been involved for more than 10 years now in Transition Town, Milton Keynes, which I think takes on from that lovely phrase from our opening speaker, Gautam, that we will only change things if we start to get involved in doing it ourselves. And the Transition Town movement is all about practical things that we can all do in our daily lives and in our community to make a difference. But the theme this morning, let's stick to the theme this morning, which is your home energy. Time is limited, so I'm going to telescope what I was going to say and really give a clue about what the whole motive of the Transition Town movement is, which is signpost. And we're going to signpost you, or I'm going to try and signpost anybody who's in the audience this morning who wants to try and make a more sustainable choice in their home energy. Jane has already given you a clue about things you can do to your roof and things, but what about your energy supply? Who supplies the energy? And it seems from the statistics, and there's an excellent source of statistics I'm just about to mention, seems from the statistics about 40% of the British population have chosen some sort of green tariff. Good news, or almost good news. It's almost good news because there's a certain amount of greenwash amongst the green energy tariffs. So you need, if you're going to choose, you might as well need to try and get rid of the greenwash and make the best choice you can. Somebody needs to do the research, and fortunately there is a non-profit organization that does the research. And I thoroughly recommend you either subscribe to their website or actually buy the magazine. They need the income. So Ethical Consumer have done the research, and what they do is they use a lovely traffic light system. So the green energy suppliers are all rated from green to orange to red. And you can see the reasons. They mark the companies for their sustainability, their transparency, and a very important fact, which is, are they actually producing more? Are they spending their profits on buying more renewable sources of green energy? That is the key thing. So the 2 or 3 front runners, which are Good Energy, there is Ecotricity, and there's another one called, I think it's GE UK now, used to be called Green Energy. Those 3 are, and Octopus, all of those 3 are spending money on creating new renewable resources. But you'll see the reasons in the table. And the table is important because not everybody's got spare money to spend a little bit more. Good energy and ecotricity are electricity is dearer. If you're on a really low tariff and you're struggling, I think you're going to probably want to choose somebody that's orange in their table rather than green, because you want to keep your bills down. I can afford it, so I'm on good energy myself, but I know there's plenty of people who can't. Now, this event today is running a little bit behind, so I want to, there's not going to be any chance for questions, but I'm going to say the same as James said, which is come over and talk to us after this event. I shall be near James' table on the right-hand side here. If anybody's got any questions, come to me. And then I think perhaps the most important thing to say is to thank Dr. Benjamin for creating this event. It's a wonderful idea, and it's really, you need more events like this in Milton Keynes, and thank goodness somebody with the energy and enthusiasm to do it has come along. So we're really, all of us in the environment are very grateful for that.
Good morning, everybody. You want to come up and do the MC role?
Yeah, I would like to thank you for a speech and hand over to our next speaker. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad this is happening for all kinds of reasons. One of them that too often the people who are enthusiastic about green issues are talking to each other. I have a sense of a really interesting initiative here to speak to different communities in different ways around different concerns like food and music and dance as well. And that's why I love the idea of this event, and I'm glad to be here. So thank you for the invitation. I'm also seeing younger people here too, which is fantastic. So my contribution focuses on carbon and how we can drive it out of the economy. Because if you aren't addressing the carbon issue, you're not for real. Okay, this is ultimately about carbon and getting it out of the economy. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, we don't actually need to panic. This is a great work that's being undertaken, and it will take decades. So for the young people here, our generation has woken up to the problem. Your generation must make the changes. This is your challenge, and you need to get on with it. So think about that for when you're choosing jobs and careers. Which side are you going to be on? So that's the second thing. It's multi-level. Well, the second thing is it's the time scale. We're talking years. It's not just about winning the next election. That's important and so on. We'll come to that perhaps. It's about timescales and years, and it affects everyone. When I look around here, I think of the people who will have family, not just in this country, but other countries that are already being washed out of their homes or driven out of their homes by fire. So this is happening now, and it needs to be addressed with urgency. I really welcome the individual changes that are being recommended. I salute them. They're important for all kinds of reasons. I really welcome the community and business level changes. They're vital too. But there are some, and Milton Keynes has been a leader in that respect. I'll point to one that hasn't been mentioned yet. But there are some things that only a government can do. There are some things that only government can do, and we must make sure the government does this. And that's why Milton Keynes has actually been a path breaker in another way that doesn't get mentioned. Okay? A number of years ago, Citizens MK asked the leaders of the three parties before the election, will you support the idea of climate income? And they said, well, I don't know what that is. Not sure about that. And we said, well, can you check it out, please? Because we're going to ask you in an assembly if you'll support it. This was during lockdown, so kind of slightly limited process. But the result was quite surprising. When it came to it, We got a unanimous vote from the council, including enthusiastic speeches by people like Robin Blackburn, now the deputy leader, saying, "Oh, I didn't know about this, but it's really neat." The Conservative group was whipped into line to support it as well. So there are policies which can work and gather in enthusiastic support for a common ground policy. A common ground, not the usual bickering, something that all the parties could subscribe to. And that was what came out of it. We repeated the exercise a few months later, and some of you were there. We had the Bishop of Oxford at an assembly on the climate crisis. And we put the ask to him as well. Will you, and this guy is on the House of Lords Environment Committee, so he's really at the centre of some of this. We said to him, will you support the climate income policy? And he said, well, we're not sure about that. I don't know about that. So I said, well, will you meet us to talk about it? And he said, yes, I'll meet you to talk about it, he said a bit doubtfully. Before we even met him, he had asked a supportive question in the House of Lords. We met him. He said, yes, you can count me as a supporter of this, and here's access to my advisors if you need support in carrying this out. So I'm going to stop now, but the point I'm leaving you with is don't take my word for it. Do what those council leaders did and what the bishop did. Check it out for yourself. Climate income. Is this guy barking, or is there something here that we could all support that would bring us together in a climate policy and that would have real leverage tackling the carbon issue? So find out for yourselves, folks. Okay.